The shuttle broke through the final atmospheric shield, and Admiral Sung felt the slight bump as they docked with the massive orbital station. Through the viewport, the moon glowed a soft blue below them, peaceful and untouched. Above them, the Galactic Council chamber hung like a crown in space, its rings spinning slowly, catching the light from 3 nearby stars. Sung adjusted his uniform collar. 50 years. That's how long humanity had waited for this moment. 50 years of probationary membership, of following every rule, of proving they could be trusted. Today, they would finally take their seat as full members of the Galactic Council. "Admiral, we're cleared to enter," Ambassador Jin Park said from beside him. She was calm as always, her dark eyes studying the station with the same careful attention she gave everything. Sung had worked with her for 5 years now. She never missed details. That quality had made her Earth's top negotiator. They walked through the docking tube with 6 other members of Earth's delegation. The station's interior was breathtaking. The walls seemed to be made of living crystal, pulsing with soft light. Alien beings of every imaginable shape moved through the corridors. Some walked, some floated, some slithered. A few explanation entirely. Sung had seen many alien species during the probationary years, but never this many in one place. His military training kept his face neutral, but inside he felt a flutter of awe. Humanity had dreamed of the stars for so long. Now they were here, walking among hundreds of civilizations. A tall, bird-like creature approached them. Its feathers shimmered with colors that changed as it moved. "Ambassador Park, Admiral, welcome. I am guide, please, follow me to the council chamber." The chamber was even more impressive than the corridors. It was shaped like a massive sphere, with seats arranged in spiraling tiers that seemed to defy gravity. Each section held different species, grouped by region or alliance. At the center, a floating platform held 12 seats. These belonged to the founders, the oldest members of the council. Jin and Sung took their assigned seats in the outer ring. From here, they could see everything. 847 species, all represented, all watching as the ceremony began. Chancellor, an elegant avian with silver-tipped feathers, rose from the central platform. His voice filled the chamber without any visible technology. "We gather to welcome our full members. Humanity has completed its probationary period. They have proven themselves worthy of joining our ancient council." Polite sounds filled the chamber. Some species applauded, others made clicking sounds, still others hummed in harmony. Sung noticed that many of the founders looked bored. They had seen countless species join over the humanity was just another name to them. Continued, with full membership comes privileges, access to the full trade network, rights to explore protected territories, participation in all council votes. He paused, and something in his tone changed. It also comes with responsibilities. Jin's fingers tapped quietly on her tablet. Sung knew that gesture. She had noticed something. "For 10,000 years," said, "the Council has maintained peace and prosperity through the Tributary Accord. This ancient system ensures that all members contribute to the protection and guidance that the Council provides. It is the foundation of our civilization." A holographic document appeared in the air before every delegation. Sung's translator worked quickly, converting the alien script into Korean, then English. He began reading, and with each line his jaw tightened. The Tributary Accord required Earth to pay 15% of its entire economic output to the Council. Not for 1 year, not for 10, for 500 years. The payment would go to the founding members, distributed according to some complex formula. In return, Earth would receive protection and guidance. Sung did a quick calculation in his head. 15% of Earth's GDP was trillions of credits. For 500 years, with compound increases built in, it would drain Earth's economy completely. Generations of humans would work just to pay this tribute. He looked at Jin. Her face remained calm, but he saw her eye twitch slightly. She was angry, so was he. Every species in this chamber has honored the tributary accord, continued. It is not merely tradition, it is the price of civilization itself. Without it, there would be chaos. Without it, newer species would fall to dangers they cannot imagine. And creature near the Founder's platform rose. Its multiple eyes gleamed in the chamber's light. I am treasurer. Earth's contribution has been calculated according to standard formulas. The amount is fair and proportional. We expect formal acceptance within 72 hours. Sung leaned toward Jin. This is extortion, he whispered in Korean. Yes, she whispered back, but look around, every species here has paid it. She was right. As Sung scanned the chamber, he saw the pattern. The founders sat in the center, relaxed and comfortable. The older members occupied the inner rings, looking satisfied. But in the outer rings, where newer members sat, he saw different expressions. Resignation, resentment, quiet anger. These species had all been through this same moment. None had refused. Was speaking again. This is a joyous day. Humanity joins the great family of civilized worlds. We ask now for Earth's formal acceptance of the tributary accord. A simple acknowledgement will suffice, and we can proceed with the celebration. The chamber fell silent. Every eye, sensor, and attention organ turned toward the human delegation. Jin stood slowly. Her voice was clear and steady. Chancellor, Treasurer, esteemed members of the Council, Earth is honored by this welcome. We request a brief recess to consult with our government. 72 hours, as Treasurer suggested. Feathers ruffled slightly. Consultation. Ambassador Park, this is a formality. The accord is not negotiable. Nevertheless, Jin said with a slight smile, we would like to review the terms carefully. Surely the Council can grant us 3 days to ensure we fully understand our responsibilities. Looked at the other founders. Silent communication passed between them. Finally, he nodded. Very well, 72 hours. We reconvene then to receive Earth's acceptance. Not Earth's decision, Sung noted. Earth's acceptance. They truly believed there was only one possible answer. As the session ended and species began filing out, a small reptilian being approached them. Its scales were dull, its movements tired. I am Ambassador Wu Nam of the Collective. We joined the Council 112 years ago. May I offer advice? Please, Jin said. Wu looked around nervously, then spoke quietly. Do not fight this. We tried to negotiate. They sanctioned our trade for 15 years. Our people suffered. Eventually, we paid. Everyone pays. It is the way things are. Thank you for the warning, Jin said gently. As Wu walked away, Sung felt his resolve harden. He had spent 30 years in Earth's military. He had fought in 2 wars. He knew what it looked like when someone used force disguised as tradition. We need to get back to the ship, he said to Jin. She nodded. We have research to do. As they walked back through the crystal corridors, Sung thought about Wu's words. Everyone pays. It is the way things are. Maybe it was time for things to change. The conference room aboard the Soul's Promise was designed for exactly this kind of meeting. The walls could display any data needed, the table could seat 20, and most importantly, it was completely secure from outside surveillance. Sung had made sure of that personally. Dr. Min arrived first, carrying 3 data tablets and looking exhausted. She had been Earth's lead for the past decade, spending most of that time studying everything the Council had allowed them to access during probation. Her expertise was about to become crucial. Commander Min Lee came next, moving with the precise efficiency of a career intelligence officer. He had analyzed countless alien civilizations, looking for threats and opportunities. Now he would put those skills to a different use. Jin was already reviewing documents when they sat down. Sung stood at the head of the table. Thank you all for coming so quickly. You've read the tributary accord by now. I want to know everything about it. History, precedent, consequences, everything. Min tapped her tablet and data began flowing across the wall displays. The tributary accord was established exactly 10,247 years ago. At that time, the founders had just defeated an empire called the Dominion. The Dominion had been expanding aggressively, conquering younger species, strip mining their worlds. Images appeared on the walls. Ancient battles destroyed planets, species fleeing in desperate ships. The war had been brutal. After the victory, the founders established the Council, Min continued. The Tributary Accord was their solution to prevent future wars. Younger species would pay tribute, and in return, the founders would protect them from threats like the Dominion. That sounds almost reasonable, Min said. What changed? Min's expression hardened. The Dominion fell 9,000 years ago, completely destroyed. There hasn't been a major galactic threat since then, but the tribute payments continued. Sung leaned forward. 9,000 years. They've been collecting protection money for 9,000 years against a threat that doesn't exist. Correct, Min said. I've analyzed every major conflict in Council space for the past 5,000 years. There have been border disputes, trade wars, even a few small military actions, but nothing that required the intervention of the founders. Nothing that justified the tribute system. Jin pulled up another document. I've been reading the exact terms. The accord states that tribute pays for protection and guidance. But look at this. There are no specific protections guaranteed. No response times, no military commitments, nothing concrete. It's completely one-sided. Min brought up a star map. I've plotted the current military positions of the founders' fleets. They maintain what they call the Protection Armada, 12,000 ships divided into 8 battle groups. He highlighted different regions. But look at their deployment. They're all positioned near the founders' home systems, not near the younger species they're supposedly protecting. So the protection is fake, Sung said. Worse than fake, Min replied. It's theater. The ships exist, but they're not actually protecting anyone except the founders themselves. Min displayed another list. Currently, 340 species pay tribute. Only 12 species receive it, the original founders. I calculated the total flow of wealth. Every year, approximately 47 trillion credits move from the paying species to the founders. The number hung in the air like a weight. That's more than the GDP of some entire regions, Jin said quietly. Min nodded. The founders have built entire economies on this tribute. They don't produce much themselves anymore. They don't need to. The wealth flows to them automatically, generation after generation. What happens to species that refuse? Sung asked. Min pulled up case files. I found 17 instances of species attempting to refuse or renegotiate over the past 2,000 years. None succeeded. The Council used economic sanctions. They cut off trade access, blocked navigation rights, restricted technology transfers. Most species caved within 10 to 15 years. Most, Jin caught the word. 3 species held out longer, Min said. The longest was the Republic. They refused for 41 years. Their economy collapsed. When they finally agreed to pay, they had to accept even harsher terms to get back into the Council's good graces. No military action, Sung asked. Never, Min said. The Council has never used force to collect tribute. They don't need to. Economic pressure does the work. Sung walked to the window, looking out at the stars. His mind was working through scenarios, calculating risks and possibilities. They rely on inevitability. Every species pays because every species has always paid. It's tradition, it's expected. It's just how things work. There's something else, Min said. She pulled up another document. I've been studying how species join the Council. For the past 6,000 years, every species that joined did so because a founder gave them FTL technology. The founders would find a promising pre-FTL civilization, make contact, and offer them the stars. In return, that species would be grateful, loyal, and ready to pay tribute. Humanity is different, Jin said, understanding immediately. Completely different, Min confirmed. We developed FTL independently. We reached the Council on our own terms. We're the first species in recorded history to do that. The founders don't know how to deal with us. Min smiled grimly. We're not indebted to them. We don't owe them our access to space. That changes the entire dynamic. Sung turned back to the group. If we refuse, they'll hit us with sanctions. Can Earth survive that? Min pulled up an economic analysis. I've been running models for the past hour. Yes, we can survive. Most of our critical trade is with species outside the founders' direct control. We have independent resources, our own technology base, our own alliances from the probationary period. The sanctions would hurt, but they wouldn't break us. But there's a bigger question, Jin said. If we refuse and survive, what happens to the system itself? Min leaned back in her chair. That's what I've been wondering. The Tributary Accord depends on universal compliance. If one species successfully refuses, others might follow. The whole structure could collapse. The founders know that, Min added. They'll make an example of us if they can. But they're playing a careful game. If they push too hard, if they use actual force, the illusion breaks. Other species will see that the system was always built on intimidation, not protection. Sung sat down at the table. So we have leverage, not much but some. There's one more thing, Jin said. She pulled up a different document. I've been reviewing Earth's contributions during probation. We shared medical technology that saved billions of lives across dozens of species. We provided clean energy solutions that revolutionized 3 entire sectors. We participated in joint defense initiatives. Our actual contributions are already worth more than 50 years of tribute payments. We've already paid our dues, Sung said. More than paid, Jin confirmed. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed the information. Finally, Sung spoke. We need to make a decision. Do we accept the accord and drain Earth's economy for centuries, or do we refuse and face the consequences? Jin looked at him directly. You already know what we should do. The question is whether we have the courage to do it. Sung thought about Earth. He thought about humanity's long struggle to reach the stars, about the generations who had dreamed of this moment. He thought about accepting extortion disguised as tradition, about bowing to a system built on nothing but fear and habit. Then he thought about that one small reptilian delegate, Wu, who had warned them. Everyone pays. It is the way things are. I need to send a message to Fleet Command, Sung said. Encrypted, Priority 1. What are you planning? Min asked. Insurance, Sung replied. If we're going to do this, we need to be ready for anything. As the others left to prepare their final reports, Jin stayed behind. You know this could start a war. I know, Sung said, but maybe some things are worth the risk. 72 hours passed too quickly and too slowly at the same time. Sung spent most of it in private communications with Earth, while Jin refined their presentation. The rest of the delegation prepared for every possible outcome. Now they were back in the council chamber, and every seat was filled. If anything, there were even more observers than before. Word had spread that something unusual might happen. Species that rarely attended council sessions had sent representatives. The air hummed with anticipation and curiosity. Chancellor looked completely confident as he opened the session. His silver feathers caught the light as he spread his wings in a gesture of welcome. Ambassador Park, Admiral, welcome back. I trust your consultation with Earth was productive. We are ready to receive your formal acceptance of the Tributary Accord. Jin stood and the chamber grew quiet. She carried a data tablet, but Sung noticed her hands were steady. She had practiced this presentation dozens of times. Chancellor, esteemed council members, thank you for granting us time to review the Tributary Accord. We have studied it carefully, very carefully. She activated her tablet, and displays appeared throughout the chamber. The Accord was established 10,247 years ago, following the defeat of the Dominion. It was designed to pool resources for mutual protection against existential threats. Nodded, pleased that she understood the history. However, Jin continued, and her tone shifted slightly, the Dominion was destroyed 9,133 years ago. Since then, there have been no major threats requiring the protection that tribute supposedly provides. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Several founders shifted in their seats. We also noticed, Jin said, pulling up more data, that the Accord provides no specific protections. No guaranteed response times, no defined military commitments, no concrete services of any kind. It is a payment system without accountability. The murmurs grew louder. Sung watched the outer rings of the chamber where the younger, tribute-paying species sat. They were leaning forward now, paying close attention. Furthermore, Jin displayed a financial analysis. Humanity has already contributed significantly during our probationary period. Medical technology, energy solutions, scientific research, defense cooperation. The value of these contributions exceeds what we would owe in tribute for 50 years. Chancellor's feathers bristled. Ambassador Park, this is not a negotiation. The Tributary Accord is a sacred tradition, the foundation of. A foundation built on inequality, Jin interrupted gently. 12 species receive tribute from 340 species. The wealth flows in one direction only. This is not mutual protection. This is extraction. The chamber erupted. Some species made sounds of shock, others of approval. The founders were on their feet now, several speaking at once. A large, reptilian being with scales rose from the central platform. High Magistrate, the enforcer of council traditions. His voice boomed through the chamber. Silence. Everyone fell quiet. Fixed his gaze on the human delegation. Ambassador Park, you speak dangerous words. You question 10,000 years of peace and prosperity. Every species in this chamber has honored the Accord. It is not optional. It is the price of civilization itself. Is it? Jin asked. Or is it simply the price of membership in an exclusive club? You go too far, growled. The Council has been generous with humanity. We granted you probationary membership when we could have rejected you entirely. We allowed you to learn our ways, to benefit from our knowledge. And now you show disrespect. Jin bowed slightly. We show no disrespect. We show honesty. The Accord may have served a purpose once, but that purpose is gone. Now it serves only to enrich a few at the expense of many. His voice cut through the tension. This debate is pointless. The Accord is not negotiable, not for humanity, not for anyone. Earth will comply or Earth will face the consequences. Economic sanctions, trade restrictions, isolation from galactic society. Is that what you want for your people? The threat hung in the air, heavy and clear. Sung saw Wu in the outer ring, the small reptilian delegate who had warned them. His expression was sad, resigned. He had seen this before. He knew how it would end. Jin turned to look at Sung. They had discussed this moment, planned for it, but now that it was here, he could see the question in her eyes. Are we really going to do this? Sung stood up. The chamber's attention shifted to him immediately. He was not a diplomat. He was a military man, and everyone knew it. When he spoke, his voice was calm but carried an edge of steel. Chancellor, we understand the consequences you describe. We understand that refusing the Accord would be unprecedented. We understand that you expect compliance because every species has before us. He paused, letting the words settle. Earth sent me here with specific instructions. As a military officer, I have spent my life following orders. I follow them now. The chamber was completely silent. Sung could hear his own heartbeat. Earth's official response to the Tributary Accord is simple. Earth's response is no. The word dropped like a stone into still water. For 3 full seconds, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The concept was so foreign, so impossible, that the entire council seemed unable to process it. Then found his voice. "No, Admiral, surely you mean you need more time to—" "No," Sung repeated. "We do not need more time. We do not need different terms. We do not need explanations. Earth declines the tributary accord. We will not pay tribute, not now, not in a year, not in 500 years, not ever." The chamber exploded. Hundreds of species began shouting, clicking, humming, roaring all at once. Some sounded angry, others shocked, others, and this was what surprised Sung most, excited. Slammed his tail against the floor, creating a sound like thunder. "You cannot refuse. It is not permitted." "It is not forbidden either," Jin said smoothly. "We reviewed the council charter thoroughly. Nowhere does it state that the accord is mandatory. It has simply always been accepted, until now." Treasurer, the accountant, scuttled forward, his multiple eyes fixed on the human delegation. "You will destroy yourselves. We will cut you off from trade networks. We will block your navigation rights. We will ensure that no council species does business with you. Within a decade, your economy will collapse." "Perhaps," Sung said, "but that is our choice to make. Earth sovereignty is not for sale." Spread his wings wide, a gesture of authority and finality. "Then you choose isolation. You choose to be cast out from civilized society. Very well. The council will." "The council will reconsider," a new voice said. Everyone turned. Ambassador Wu was standing. The small reptilian delegate looked terrified, but he was standing nonetheless. "My people, the collective, have paid tribute for 112 years. We have suffered economic hardship, reduced our social programs, limited our expansion, all to meet our obligations." His voice grew stronger. "We were told it was necessary. We were told it was protection. But Ambassador Park is right. Where is the protection? What threats have the founders defended us from? None." Another delegate rose, then another. Within minutes, representatives from 24 species were on their feet, all speaking variations of the same sentiment. The questions they had never dared ask were suddenly being asked. Roared for order, but the chamber was chaos now. 10,000 years of unquestioned tradition had just been questioned, and the cracks were spreading fast. Locked eyes with Sung. The old chancellor's expression was a mixture of rage and something else. Fear, respect. "You have made a terrible mistake, Admiral. The council has been patient with humanity. That patience is at an end." "Then we will see what happens when patience runs out," Sung replied. As the session descended into disorder and called for an emergency recess, Jin leaned close to Sung. "We just changed history." "Or ended it," Sung said, "for us anyway." But as they left the chamber, Sung noticed something. Young Han Sol, their junior diplomat who had been recording everything, was smiling. So was Wu. So were several other delegates from tribute-paying species. They had said no. One simple word. But in a galaxy where everyone had always said yes, that word might be enough to change everything. Or destroy everything. In 72 hours, they would find out which. The emergency council session was called for the next morning. Sung had expected that. What he had not expected was the sheer level of anger radiating from the founder's platform. Chancellor looked like he had not slept. Neither had most of the council, judging by appearances. The Soul's promise had spent the night fielding communications. Some were threats, many were questions. A surprising number were expressions of support, though most of those came through encrypted channels from species afraid to speak publicly. Now, as the council reconvened, Sung noticed the security had increased. Armed guards from 12 species lined the chamber walls. It was meant to be intimidating. It was. Did not waste time on pleasantries. The council has deliberated through the night. Earth's refusal to honor the tributary accord is an insult to 10,000 years of tradition. It threatens the stability of our entire civilization. One species refusing to pay protection money threatens civilization. Jin asked calmly. "That seems like a fragile civilization." "You do not understand what you have done," said. His voice was cold now, all pretense of diplomatic warmth gone. "By your refusal, you encourage chaos. Already 24 species are questioning their obligations. This cannot stand." Treasurer scuttled forward. "The Council offers one final opportunity. Accept the accord now, with only a 10% penalty for the disruption you have caused, and this matter ends. Refuse, and we implement immediate sanctions." "What kind of sanctions?" Sung asked, though he already knew. "Total economic embargo," said. "No Council species will trade with Earth. Your ships will be docking rights at all Council stations. Your navigation through Council space will be revoked. All technology sharing agreements are void. All joint research projects are terminated. Earth will be completely isolated." It was a harsh sentence. For most species, it would be devastating. Sung had seen the projections. Earth would lose about 30% of its trade immediately. Certain crucial resources would become difficult to obtain. It would hurt. But it would not break them. "We understand," Sung said. "Earth maintains its position. We will not pay tribute." Rose, his massive frame towering over the platform. "Then you choose war." The word sent a chill through the chamber. Several delegates gasped. War had not been part of the discussion. War was not how the Council operated. "We did not threaten war," Jin said carefully. "We simply declined to pay an exploitative tax. If the Council chooses to respond with military force, that decision is yours, not ours." "You mock us," snarled. "You, with your single system and primitive fleet. You think you can stand against the might of the Council, against the protection armada that has kept peace for." Sung stood up slowly. This was the moment. Everything depended on what happened next. "We do not seek conflict, but we will not be bullied either." He pulled out a small device and pressed a single button. Nothing happened. Laughed. "Is this your grand gesture, a broken?" Every display in the chamber suddenly activated. Every screen, every hologram, every data panel lit up with the same image. It was a tactical map of the entire star system. The Council station glowed at the center. Around it, scattered throughout the system, were red dots. Lots of red dots. "What is this?" demanded. Captain's voice came through on an open channel, calm and professional. "This is Captain of the Earth warship. What you are seeing is the actual deployment of Earth's fleet." The red dots on the map began to pulse. There were 47 of them, and they were everywhere. 3 near the Council station itself. 6 around the moon of. 8 positioned near the system's jump points. The rest scattered strategically throughout the system. "Impossible," whispered. "Our sensors showed no." "Your sensors showed exactly what we wanted them to show," said. "Our ships have been in position since before the first Council session. We have been here the entire time." Sung watched the Founders' faces. The confidence was draining away, replaced by shock and something close to fear. Their protection armada had 12,000 ships, true, but those ships were scattered across a dozen sectors. Here now in this system, they had perhaps 200 ships, and Earth had just demonstrated technology they did not have, stealth capabilities they could not detect. "This is an act of aggression," roared. "This is preparation," Sung corrected. "We came hopping for peace. We prepared for the alternative. That is called prudence, not aggression." Another display activated. This time it showed targeting data. Every Council defense platform, every orbital weapons emplacement, every docked military vessel had a target lock. Not active, just displayed. The message was clear. If Earth wanted to start a fight, they could do so from a position of advantage. "Admiral, stand down," commanded. "I take orders from Admiral," replied calmly, "not from the Council." The silence that followed was deafening. For perhaps the first time in 10,000 years, the Founders were not in control. Jin stepped forward. "We did not reveal this capability to threaten you. We revealed it to demonstrate a simple truth. Earth is not weak. We are not helpless. We are not another species you can bully into compliance. She pulled up more data. We also came prepared with alternatives. Earth proposes the Mutual Advancement Initiative. Instead of tribute flowing in one direction, all species contribute what they can to shared goals. Research, exploration, defense. Participation is voluntary. Benefits are distributed based on contribution and need, not based on age or power. You would dismantle the Accord entirely, said, but his voice lacked conviction now. The Accord has been dismantled by its own obsolescence, Jin replied. We simply acknowledge reality. The protection you claim to provide does not exist. The threats you claim to defend against disappeared ago. What remains is a system of exploitation dressed up as tradition. Wu stood again, and this time he was not alone. Delegates from 37 species rose with him. The collective supports Earth's proposal, Wu said, his voice steady. We would like to contribute to genuine cooperation, not forced tribute. One by one, other delegates voiced agreement. Not all of them, not even most of them, but enough. Enough to show that the consensus was breaking. Looked around the chamber, seeing his authority crumbling in real time. You do not understand what you are asking. The tribute system funds our civilization, our research, our infrastructure, your personal wealth, Min said, speaking for the first time. He displayed financial data. 93% of tribute payments go directly to private accounts owned by founder species. Only 7% is used for actual council operations. This is not about civilization. This is about maintaining privilege. The chamber erupted again. Accusations flew. Some species demanded proof, others demanded investigations. The founders tried to regain control, but the damage was done. Pointed at Sung. This is not over, human. You have made powerful enemies today. Perhaps, Sung said, but we also made something else. We made a choice. The choice to stand for what is right, even when it is hard, even when it is dangerous. He looked around the chamber at all the species watching. Any species that wishes to join the Mutual Advancement Initiative is welcome. We do not demand tribute. We do not require submission. We offer partnership, real partnership between equals. Slumped in his seat, he looked old suddenly, tired. You have destroyed 10,000 years of order. No, Jin said gently. We have ended 10,000 years of exploitation. What comes next is up to all of us together. The session ended without resolution. The founders called for another recess, time to consider their response. As the humans left the chamber, Sung received a private message from Admiral, all ships report ready status. If they try anything, we can be out of the system in under 3 minutes. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, Sung replied. But as he walked back to the shuttle, he felt something unexpected. Hope. The founders had blinked. They had threatened war, but when confronted with actual capability, they had backed down. The system had cracked. Now they would see if it could be rebuilt into something better, or if it would simply shatter completely. 1 month later, the council chamber looked the same, but everything else had changed. Sung stood at the viewport of the Soul's Promise, watching shuttles come and go from the station. There were more of them now. Species that had rarely participated in council sessions were suddenly very interested in attending. The reason was simple. Today, the council would vote on a proposal that would reshape galactic civilization. Behind him, Jin was reviewing data on her tablet. Final count shows 183 species supporting the Mutual Advancement Initiative, 71 undecided, 89 opposed, mostly from species closely aligned with the founders. And the founders themselves, Sung asked. 6 are firmly opposed, 3 are open to negotiation, 3 are actually in favor. That last number surprised him. 3 founders support it. Jin smiled. Not everyone who benefits from an unjust system wants to keep it. Some have consciences. The past month had been intense. After the standoff, the Council had entered a period of chaos. 23 species had formally announced they would no longer pay tribute. 67 others had demanded renegotiation of their terms. The economic model that had sustained the founders was collapsing in real time. But something unexpected had happened. Instead of the disaster the founders predicted, something else emerged. Species began talking to each other directly, without the founders as intermediaries. Trade agreements were negotiated. Research partnerships formed. It turned out that when species were not required to give 15% of their wealth away, they had resources for other things. Earth had moved quickly to demonstrate what genuine cooperation could look like. Dr. Woojin Shin, one of humanity's leading scientists, had established joint research facilities. 12 species had already contributed to projects studying quantum mechanics, biological research, and advanced materials. The results in just 1 month exceeded what the official Council Research Division had produced in the last decade. Now came the hard part, formalizing it all. The Council session began with unusual energy. The chamber was packed, every seat filled, observers standing in designated areas. Chancellor looked tired but composed as he called the session to order. We gather today to vote on a fundamental restructuring of the Council. The Mutual Advancement Initiative, as proposed by Earth and supported by numerous member species, would replace the tributary accord with a voluntary contribution system. He paused. This is a historic moment. The vote will proceed by species, 1 vote each. A simple majority decides. The voting took an hour. Each species formally recorded their position. Sung watched the tally climb. 183 became 190, then 200. The undecided were breaking toward the initiative. When the final count appeared, the chamber went silent. 217 species in favor, 130 opposed. The Mutual Advancement Initiative had passed. Stood slowly. For a moment, Sung thought he might challenge the results, call for a recount, something. Instead, the old chancellor simply bowed his head. The Council has spoken. The tributary accord is hereby dissolved. The Mutual Advancement Initiative will be implemented according to the terms proposed. It was done. 10,000 years of tradition ended in a single vote. But was not finished. However, this raises practical questions. The founders have built our entire economies around tribute payments. The transition will be difficult, painful even. Jin had anticipated this. Earth proposes a transition fund. We will contribute technology, resources, and expertise to help stabilize economies during the adjustment period. We do not wish to see anyone suffer. A founder named, one of the 3 who had supported the initiative, spoke. We must also acknowledge a difficult truth. We became dependent on tribute because we stopped producing value ourselves. We must relearn how to contribute, not just receive. It was a remarkable admission. Several other founders looked uncomfortable, but none disagreed. The session moved to implementation details. Structure, governance, contribution frameworks. It was tedious work but necessary. Sung let Jin handle most of it. This was her expertise, not his. He was approached during a recess by Wu. The small reptilian delegate looked different than he had a month ago. Happier somehow. Lighter. Admiral, I wanted to thank you, Wu said. When I warned you to comply, I believed it was impossible to change the system. You proved me wrong. We proved each other wrong, Sung replied. We thought we might have to stand alone. Instead, others stood with us. Because you stood first, Wu said. That took courage. My people are already benefiting. The resources we no longer pay in tribute are being used to upgrade our medical systems, expand our educational programs, things we could not afford for generations. They were interrupted by the return to session, but Wu's words stayed with Sung. That was what this was really about. Not grand principles or political victories, but the practical ability of species to invest in their own people rather than in someone else's wealth. 6 months after that vote, Sung returned to the council chamber for another session. This time, the agenda was different. The council itself was being reorganized into something new, the Galactic Cooperative. The name change was symbolic but important. Council implied hierarchy, someone ruling over others. Cooperative implied partnership working together. The new structure included a reformed Security Council, and to Sung's surprise, humanity was offered a seat. It made sense in retrospect. Earth had demonstrated both capability and willingness to stand on principle. Other species trusted that. But the real success stories were elsewhere. Species that had paid tribute for centuries were launching their own exploration missions. The collective was establishing its first colony outside its home system. The Republic, which had nearly collapsed refusing tribute decades ago, was now leading a massive infrastructure project that would benefit dozens of systems. Wu Jin's research cooperative had grown to include 47 species. They had made breakthroughs in medical technology that were already saving lives across the galaxy. They had developed energy systems that made FTL travel 20% more efficient. They had done it all voluntarily, species contributing what they could because they wanted to, not because they had to. Even some of the founders had adapted, had become a leading advocate for the new system. She now led a foundation using her personal wealth to fund educational programs for younger species. Others followed her example, not all, but enough. There were still problems, of course. Some founders had not adapted well. Their economies struggled. Some younger species had difficulty making the transition from paying tribute to managing their own resources. Earth and others provided assistance, but it was a learning process. Had retired. His replacement was Chancellor, a species that had joined the Council only 300 years ago. Her election had been unthinkable under the old system. After one particularly long session, requested a private meeting with Sung and Jin. They met in a small observation room overlooking the station. "I wanted to speak with you before I fully retire from public life," said. He looked older now, his feathers graying at the tips. "I spent 400 years maintaining the tributary accord. I believed it was necessary. I believed it kept the peace." "And now," Jin asked gently, "now I understand I was maintaining my own comfort at others' expense." He looked out at the stars. "The system I defended was unjust. I see that now. I should have seen it sooner. I could have changed it from within, but I chose not to. I chose stability over justice." "Why are you telling us this?" Sung asked. "Because someone should know. History will remember humanity as the species that reformed the Council. That is accurate, but it should also remember that the Council needed reforming and those of us who led it failed in our duty." He turned to face them. "I also wanted to ask you a question. When you said no, did you know it would work?" Sung and Jin exchanged glances. Finally, Sung answered honestly. "No, we thought it might destroy us, but we decided some things are worth the risk." Nodded slowly. "Thank you for that honesty, and for showing us a better way even when we resisted it." After left, Jin and Sung remained at the viewport. They watched ships from hundreds of species coming and going, trading freely, cooperating voluntarily. "Do you think it will last?" Jin asked. "The new system, maybe not, nothing lasts forever," Sung smiled. "But it's better than what came before, that's enough." "Is it enough?" "It has to be. We can't perfect the galaxy, Jin. We can just try to make it a little better than we found it." They stood in comfortable silence for a while. Then Jin said, "You know what I keep thinking about? That moment when you said no, one word. It seemed so small." "It was small," Sung agreed. "But sometimes small things matter most." He thought about all the things that had followed from that one word. The economic restructuring, the new cooperative model, the research breakthroughs, the species that could now invest in themselves. all from one simple refusal to accept injustice as tradition. On the screen, he watched a small ship launch from the station. According to the manifest, it was the first independent exploration vessel from a species that had been paying tribute for 800 years. They were finally free to explore on their own terms, to chart their own course. That was worth the risk. That was worth everything. "Come on," Sung said. "We have another meeting in 20 minutes. Something about establishing protocols for first contact with pre-FTL civilizations." "Let me guess," Jin said with a slight smile. "Some species want to offer FTL technology in exchange for tribute." "Exactly." "Well then," Jin said, gathering her things, "I guess we'll have to say no to that too." As they walked back through the station, Sung reflected on how much had changed and how much stayed the same. Humans were still pushing back against injustice, still standing for principle even when it was hard, still believing that a better galaxy was possible. And now, for the first time in 10,000 years,